So hello students, I guess you are fit and fine at your place. Yes. So let's start today's class. Okay students. So students, I have something for you. So students, see. Do you see these images in front of your screen? Yes. Okay, very good. So students, do you find some childrens are there in front of your screen? Yes. Yes. See, how many children are there? How many girls are there in the first image? Yes, in the first, let's talk about how many people are there in the first. Yes, 3 girls, right? And what about students in the second? Yes, the same girl is there, right? And she is showing some clothes, right? So one girl is there and she is showing her clothes, okay? And in the third image, we can see the 3 boys, right, students? So students, do you think they are wearing some dress according to some seasons? Yes. See, this girl has wear only skirts with some frock, right? And here you can see this girl is wear completely shoes, jacket, this coat, right? And cap also, right? So here you can see in the third image, students, these boys are wearing t-shirt and capri and half sleeves, and here also half sleeves. So they are and wearing cap, right? So students, do you think they have wear according to the seasons? See, so which season do we wear the above dresses? So what do you think for the first and the third? In which season do we prefer to wear? Yes, for the first and the third. Yes, for the first and third we prefer in the summer, right? And for the second we prefer in the winter, right? So in that way students, we wear some dress clothes according to the seasons, according to their importance, right? Here you can see in the winter we have a cotton clothes. We don't wear cotton clothes, right, for in winters, but in the summer we wear cotton clothes, right, as you can see. But in here you can see she is wearing some woolly clothes, right, as well as boots. So that's why students, it depends upon the season we wear it. Okay students, let's see, we have an activity in which, let's see, suppose students, you are participating in fancy dress competition. Okay, you have a fancy dress competition at your school. Now this dress you are going to wear, which one? So you have to tell me, you have to choose, is it you will choose this first one or this is second one? Which one image, which dress you are going to wear for this fancy dress competition? Yes, do we wear first one or second one, right? So which one you will choose? Okay, you will choose the second one. Okay, so have you ever seen this Mowgli dress cartoon, that he is wearing only this leaves dress on, right? And this is before the earlier the people are wearing these kinds of dresses, and now these are the newly dresses we are wearing, right? So students, see, we have a clothing material according to the area in the year we prefer, right? For before we don't have clothes, so we generally prefer these kinds of clothes for wearing, right? So students, where we have seen that when there is no discovery of a clothes, we wear that plants we use for covering our body, right? Then after then we get animal skin for our clothes, right? As we are not comfortable more in the leaves, then we go with the this animal skin, right? Later on we come to the various types of clothes where having cap and other embroidery structure and color also, it's going to be changes. So it depends upon the time, students. At the time of clothing, it's just style changes, right? So students, basically we are going to discuss about today, that is history of a clothing material. Okay, so before, what is the, as today we are wearing comfortable clothes according to the season, so at the time of what is the history that is behind of a cloth, so we are going to discuss about that only, the history of a clothing material. Okay, so now students, let's see what is that. So students, in older days of 5 lakh years ago, see, such a low, such a big number, right? People only wore leaves clothes on their themselves. So students, see, before such a longer period of time, 5 lakh years back, the people firstly wears their leaves act as a clothes. Okay. Then after some time, with the migration, we can say that as the people move from one place to another, they come to know that they have a knowledge of a hunting, right? Shikar hunting, they started a wearing of a animal skin and their fur. So here you can see this person is wearing the fur of a animal and skin, right? Such a beautiful and such a smooth skin they have, right? So he is wearing it. In agriculture advancement, they started viewing the twigs and grass into mats. So as much more increasing the advancement in the technology, we more engage to the new technology, that is being the twigs and the grasses with the mats we are producing, right? They started to grow in the cotton. So then we come to know that what is cotton, how we can obtain the fiber to make clothes, right? For the cotton clothes, later on there is an invention of a sewing needle, that sewing, right? They started stitching. So we usually, if we want to stitch this, we use our weaving machine to stitch this cloth. So that way we come to know that our clothes being stitches. So basically this is an history. Firstly we have a leaves cloth, then animal skin, then we come to know that how to weave the clothes, as well as we then come about the fibers, right? And then we come about clothes which we are wearing made up of fabric, different fabric. So this is a history of a clothing material, students. Okay, now let students, you have to list the clothes from your daily life, okay, that you are wearing unstitched as a full fabric. You are not stitching it, you are using full as much. You are not using any needle to stitches, not any thread. You are using as simple. So what, how can we can use this type of things to wear it? So we have some dresses, some clothes which is used as unstitched for the different purposes. Okay, so let's see, those who are able to tell me what is that, those are the materials that clothes we wear for unstitching purpose. So write it down. So see, I have write it down, that is turban, dhoti and sari. So these are the few examples, students, where we doesn't stitch anything with the help of needle. We just use as much. So there is turban, pagdi, right? Then we have a dhoti, and at the last we have a sari. So for the sari we didn't stitch it, we use full fabric to wear it, right? So these are the few of the clothes we wear for the different purposes. So there we doesn't need any stitching. Okay, students. Now students, this is a true and false. The men wore stitched cloth before the invention of needle and sewing machine. Yes. Does man, you have to tell me this is a true or false statement. The man wore stitched clothes before the invention of needle and, yes. Write it down your answer in the comment box, students. Yes. So yes students, very good. So basically it is a false statement, right? Because we know that before there is no invention of a needle, how it is possible that they will wear the stitched cloth? So this is unstitched cloth they wear, right? So this is a incorrect statement, because if there is no invention of needle and sewing machine, so how that people can, yes they view that mats as well, but they does not stitch the clothes, they wear as, okay. Yes students, there is one more image in front of your screen. What is this? Do you see some lines? Do you see some lines? Right? So these are the some lines, and students, do you find it out in the next image? There is some, these lines are used to make a mat, right? So how the clothes are made? See students, as the same way the clothes are made being stitches, as you can come to know that students, as when we separate out this its yarns, fabric to its yarn, so we can see these are the some of the stitchings, like in this pattern, this is a mat like pattern, so that way only we get a fabric, okay. So let's see. So see, each student will have to take 2 sheets of paper such as to make a yarn, okay. So you can take a paper, these types of paper, 2 sheets of paper, okay. Now students, what you have to make, you have to make the rectangular strip as like, so let's make rectangular strips from there only. So students, and you have to cut it out. For that you have to arrange it properly. So if you want to cut it out, so you have to get equally all the, you have to make all equally strips, okay. So that means that equally you will come to know that, and easily you will able to draw that pattern. So that way you can divide the patterns, and you can make these types of strip, and later on you can draw these rectangular strips arranged in the such way that it made a mat like structure, right? So students, what we call these types of structure, at last what we get? We get fabric, right? So this is a process which we call as a weaving, okay. What is that process? See, the person has completed this activity as he get the mat like structure, right? So this is a process is called weaving. So the process of arranging 2 sets of yarn together to form a fabric. So students, this is an important point. Whenever we need to arranging the set of yarn together to form fabric, okay, that is called weaving. So students, make sure you noted down the points, okay. It is done with the help of machines, as by the hand it will take a lot of time. So if you do with the machine, it will not consume more time, but if you do with the same practice with the hand, it will consume more time. So students, this is one of the other example. You can see the weaving process for the different colors. One is blue color and second is red color. See how the weaving is done to form a fabric, okay students. See, now there is one set of images there is front of you. So students, you have to tell me what she is doing, and she is doing to form something. You can see students, and notice some of the important things in the picture. So write it down, those things you can see in this picture, and tell me what she is doing and what are the elements is present in the picture. Yes, very good. So you can see there is a stitching machine, right, in front of it. And students, she is, you can see she is making fiber to yarn to make a fabric, right? And she's using a machine, you can see in front of you. right? She is not doing with the hand, she is doing with the help of machine, so it is going to be very easier. So let's see what we call this type of machine. So basically the machine through which weaving is done is called looms. So students, this is a machine whose name is looms. Whenever we use any machine to make the weaving process, that we can say that that machine name is loom. Machine that is used for the weaving purpose. Okay, let's come further. So what is it called? It is called looms. Now students, one more question. Read the statement, then go with your answer. Okay, weaving is dash. 4 options: the separation of cotton seeds from fiber, the twisting of cotton fiber, the arrangement of yarn to fabric, or the arrangement of fabric to yarn. So students, make sure you read it properly and then give the answer in the comment box. Yes student, very good. So I guess I got your answer students. So yes, correct answer is the arrangement of yarn to fabric, right? So correct answer is student C. So please make sure you get it the correct answer. So weaving is the process in which we are arranging the yarn to make a fabric with the in the structure of a mat. This type of structure we made, right? So this is called weaving. Now students, you can see there is one image in front of you. So do you find anything in front of you? What do you identify? Yes, yes. Do you see a woolen wool, right? And from these wool we have make a socks. So how these socks has been made, students? Do you know how we can make these socks? Yes, with the help of knitting, right? So whenever we can do it, let's see an activity. You have to take a woolen roll. So see, this is a woolen roll, okay? And the 2 sticks. Let me take these sticks as these sticks, okay? Now with the help of these sticks, you have to arrange in a such a way that you get the woolen thread together as they form a pattern. So students, you have to arrange, you have to hold that such a way with the thread so that you will get it that it is a woolen. So you have to make some pattern, students. So then way you can come to know that that is a knitting the needles. You have to do this. So you can see whenever we stitches, we can find it out some loops, we have some stitches, as well as we make some interlocks, right? So that the knitting will go into. So here you can see these are the knitting needles. Basically here we use some 2 sticks, but we perfectly making this pattern, we required a knitting needles to make it, okay students? So the process which we use to make it, that is to knitting, okay? What is the process, students, known as? The process is called knitting. So students, what is knitting? The single yarn is arranged together. The single yarn is arranged together to form a fabric. Then it is called knitting. Okay. So when you use single thread, this single thread, only from the single thread is going to make a fabric. Okay. So then we can say that is knitting. In this thread, the thread interlock. So students, as you can see here also in front of your screen, let me take another color. So students, you can see here we have loops. So these loops are only made by these knitting needles. So for the knitting, we have knitting needles. Okay, and knitting process only done with the single thread, that is single yarn. Okay, see how the process is to form only from the single yarn that you can form a fabric, that is woolen clothes that you wear, sweaters there only. So from the single yarn you get your all the patterns together to form a fabric. So that way it will work, students. Okay, so here you can see a thread interlock with each other to form a series of loops. So the series, as you interlock the threads with each other, you can get series of loops. That way you can form the pattern together and you get the sweaters at the last as an outcome, or the you want to make a socks or other patterns. So you will get arrangement of the yarn you have to do with the help of these knitting needles. Then you will get the arrangements and you can work upon it. Okay, you now students, you have to think and list some differences between what are the differences that we discussed about today's class, that is weaving and knitting, right? So what is the some differences, you will find it out in these two processes, that is weaving and knitting. So please write it down in the comment box. Let me make a line for you. So students, you can write it down your answer in the comment box. Yes, so let's discuss what is the main differences between weaving and knitting. Okay, so as we can see, the weaving, it is a process of taking two yarns. Okay, for the weaving you required for the pattern, right, you have to require two yarns, you have to arrange as such a way. So these types of mat pattern you require, for you require two yarns. Okay students, and for the knitting you required only single. For the weaving you required two, and for the knitting you required only one. So see how it is easy process. Weaving machine is known as looms. For the weaving purpose, we have a machine which is known as looms, right? And for the knitting purpose, we have knitting needles. So these are the main differences for the, if we talk about these two processes, that is weaving and knitting. Okay students. Now students, there is filling the blanks in front of you. You have to read the statement and then give me the answer. The single yarn is arranged together to form a fabric. It is known as dash. What is that process known as to use a single yarn to form a fabric only? What do we call that process? Yes, write it down your answer in the comment box. From there I will check it, your answer. Yes, very good. So basically we call that process as a knitting. Okay, so check out your answer students. Do you get the same answer or not? Now students, let's recap what we have discussed in the today's class. So basically today we have discussed about the history of clothing material. Then we talk about the leaves and animal clothes that be used by the humans to cover their body. Then we talk about the agriculture advancement which come out as a cotton, right? And then there is invention of a needle, that is sewing machine, and the stitches clothes we have wear it, right? Later on we talk about the formation of a fabric with the help of weaving which is taking two yarns to form a fabric, where with the help of looms, right? And for the knitting we use a one yarn with the knitting needles. Okay students, so these are the things we have discussed. Now students, now we have a homework. So you have to list the similarities between the process of knitting and the weaving. Okay, now you have to write it in which era the people wore the leaves and the animal clothes. Okay, at the last we have an activity. You have to pull out 6 to 8 yarns from your fabric. Okay, and then you hold one of the yarn to a tongue and bring it together to end over one of the flame of a candle. Okay, so this is an activity, and observe it carefully. Later on, do the yarn strike and away from the flame? Do these yarn are melt or burn? What kind of order is coming out? So you have to note it down all the activities in your notebooks. Okay, so students, make sure this activity you are taking the help of your parents. Under this process you will do their guidance. Okay students, so thank you. We will meet in the next video with the interesting topic.